What's up, everybody? This is Jimmy with Trading Decoded. It is March 25th, 2024, and it's 4:09 in the afternoon. Market is closed. Today was a craptastic day. If you caught the opening move down or up, that was pretty much the move of the day, unless you managed to wait all day long until about 3:50 when we saw another bit of movement. But most people probably chewed through all of their buying power trying to trade something that wasn't worth trading leading up to that point. So, yeah, we're going to talk about today's chart, but we're also going to talk about when it's not a good idea to take any trades, all right, which was majority of today. So let's talk about our opening play, what we saw, what we liked, what we were hesitant on, why we got out where we got out of, and why we were able to find takes to both the upside and the downside. Okay, now for me, I took a single trade today. It was a put. And I'll explain all of that along with a whole bunch of our members took the same one and one and done it for quite a few of us, which was good for today specifically. But anyway, as you could see in pre-market, we were in a pretty tight range. I wasn't excited to play this, and at 9:25 we have to come up with our call put scenario. I said, I don't like calls unless we close above 520.30, and I'd like to see Qs on in the same, move direction as SPY to take those. And the reason all the way up here was because we had 3 lines of resistance, and that was before we even opened, above our pre-market high line. So I didn't like the idea that we had a bunch of resistance right here. Now, if we can clear that, I believed that we could make it up to the next one, but it was going to have to prove to me that it could get through all that before I'd be interested in calls in the first place. Puts, we actually had 2 put scenarios, one being super aggressive, the second one being much more conservative. The much more conservative one was getting below 519.50. The aggressive one was a close below 519.71. Now, I know normally we do breaches, but you actually have a little bit of support just under that line, so we needed to make sure that that was, cleared first. So I don't know if anybody actually bought puts because of the breach here, but if you were looking at ADD, probably was a good reason not to take those puts. All right, ADD was taken off to the upside. Qs were struggling to do anything other than go down, but you had massive wicks on the bottoms of these candles indicating that there was definitely some buyers hanging out down there. So no puts on the opening candle. However, we got through all these lines and made it right up to the call line. Now, if we can't move higher, it doesn't mean it can't go higher. At the time, this was acting as a decent resistance, and I told everybody at this point, I'm not buying calls here unless we close above 520.30 and Qs are above 444.22. This resistance from pre-market right here, 444.22. And as you could see, we're rejecting well before even the pre-market high line. So calls were off the table for me because I'm not buying calls unless Qs are moving up. It's really that simple. I know I watch ADD all the time. If ADD is moving up and SPY is moving up, but Qs are moving down, I'm not buying calls. I'm not doing it. And that's just me. I trust the Qs more than I trust ADD. Likewise, if Qs are moving up and ADD's dropping through the floor, I'm going to go with the Qs, okay? I understand that if ADD is dropping and Qs are moving up, if the Qs are going to move SPY, it'll be a much choppier move to the upside because you've got the rest of the market trying to stop it from happening. But that's just for me. I go with the Qs. If the Qs aren't moving or are struggling to move higher or looking like they're heavy and they want to come down and we're at a line of resistance, I'm going to take that. However, in this particular instance right here, I was telling everybody while we were up against this line, guys, I'm not doing calls unless Qs get above this level, 444.22. In saying that, this might be a good time for me to take puts. Now, the reason I was saying puts and the one thing I was waiting for, I said I just need ADD to take a breather just for a second. That's all I need to see that will get me into this trade. Well, as luck would have it, the very first red candle we started to print was exactly that moment. 9:36. As soon as the Jim indicator popped on, that was go for me. Now, Super risky trade. Why risky? Because, well, technically, we're in a bull market. I know that. Second, we're up against resistance and holding support here on the futures line. So that was the one thing that made me a little bit hesitant about doing this, but I did it anyway. We got in. A whole bunch of us got in. Our stop loss was if the Qs close above this 444.12, you're probably going to want to get out of this trade. Now, Qs were struggling to move up here. We were taking note of that. And obviously, we wanted to see the Qs break to the downside because I believed that if it did, SPY was going to follow. All right. And while we were up here and we got down to this yellow line here, our first target high of 520.13, contracts were not moving, guys. They were not moving at all. It was crap return. Now, those days are dangerous because you might get a move that would normally have you up 15, 20, 25%, but you're only up 10% or 5% or 8%. What's the first thing you want to do? You want to hold for longer so that you can get more profit. Totally understandable. But if the chart is telling you, hey, this is as far as we're going to go, you got to respect the chart, not your P&L. Okay? But with that said, when we got in up here, naturally, I tell everybody where I expect my target to be, where I'd like to go. In this particular instance, I said, I'd love to see us at 519.71, but that was a formidable line of support in pre-market. I'm not going to try and hold through that. So as we come down off resistance up here, we stayed below the level we needed to stay below. We also said for people who are being uber aggressive on their stop losses, if we close above 520.30, which would be a trigger for calls so long as Qs were saying it was okay, stop out there, whatever it is. I got in because I saw all the things that I wanted to see. I got out because we made it to the target that I wanted to get to, right? Now, at this time, at 940, I don't know if Qs were on support as well. Okay, all the reasons. We were getting in because Qs were struggling to move up. We were at resistance on SPY. We got our move down. As soon as Qs hit that support, yes, they tried to go down even farther. But SPY was hitting a strong level of support too. That was the one trade. That was a 54% win. All right. Now, to the upside, same rules as here. Now, I was having people ask me, Jimmy, would you buy puts again up at this line? I said, no. Well, why not this time and why that time? I said, well, look at the size of the move here. So we had sellers push us down to support, a support that was known to hold, support that held here and pushed us right back up to that line. I said it's going to rely, again, on the Qs. This is a nice momentum move to the upside, okay, just like it was here. But the Qs, the Qs were on a move to the upside too. The Qs were not on a move to the upside here, all right? It was a slow, not clean move on the Qs here, okay? This was not a clean move, not nearly as clean as it looked on SPY. But you look at this time frame on the Qs, much, much stronger move to the upside. Okay. No, thank you. I just got done telling you guys, I trust the Qs if the Qs are going up. And I said here, if the Qs are going to break, it's probably going to be on this trip to this side, right? So we need to get a close above 422 or a breach even, a 422, 444.22. Okay. That's that pre-market resistance over here. We get that for the first time at 10:08 while SPY is over its call line. Okay, so yes, you could have bought calls up here. I wasn't suggesting it. I wouldn't do it myself. Why? Because we're up against a level of strong resistance. But the market was looking much stronger here than it was here at this time. So puts were not a thing for me either. All right. Yes, we broke the trend line that was asked. Jimmy, would you play a break of the trend line? No, I wouldn't. Why not? Because this is why not. Okay, this is where the momentum is. This is what would keep me out of puts. Just like this is what got me into puts. Okay, likewise, I'm interested in calls if certain things happen to the Qs, which I was expecting to happen. I told everybody, as I always do. Guys, we're coming off a nice move to the upside. Okay, we're breaking resistance, hitting next resistance. We're having a hard time dipping back down to where we were. We're finding support at higher lows. I think this thing's going to break to the upside. I wouldn't touch puts with a 10-foot pole at this point. And I'm glad I said that because not only did some people take calls looking for the move to the upside, it kept a lot of people out of puts, thankfully. Okay, I was not in this. This was a one and done trade for me. I got nothing to gain by talking about these trades, whether I'm in them or not. It doesn't matter. I'm just citing what I see and what the market typically does in certain situations. And in this case, we were wedging to the upside, coming off higher lows. I expect it's going to move up. Okay, now why is this circle here? Because we did have some people get into calls off of the support down here at 520.13. I wanted them to be aware that Qs were hitting their first line of resistance to the upside, which was at 10.09. So at 10.09, Qs were up against their next resistance. That's all. If it breaks that, guys, Qs we're looking for 444.86, followed by 445.15, followed by 445.58. So you'll see circles every time Qs hit those lines. So I know some of you look at this chart and say, oh, Jimmy, it's really easy to call the top when the chart's already printed. Guys, we called this top just like we do every single day when we're in a trade. Guys, Qs are coming up to their next level of resistance. You might want to consider taking your profits because we don't know which one's going to hold and which one's not. If you're going to hold through this line of resistance, I'm just going to ask you to move your stop losses up. That is exactly word for word what we say every time we're coming up to these lines. Same thing when we're going down to the lines. Guys, Qs are coming down to their first support at 442.92. You might want to consider taking your profits here or moving your stops down in case the support holds. Okay, that's it. It doesn't get any more convoluted. It's as simple as that. Okay, what we can't see is what's going to happen when it gets to these lines. So I'm trying to make you aware of when we're getting to them so that you can react accordingly should you want to. It's not my job to spend your money. It's not my job to tell you how to spend your money. In fact, I'm not allowed to do that. All I could do is warn you and say, hey guys, we're moving up to a level of resistance. I'll let you know as soon as we get there or when we're close to it. Guys, we're getting real close to it. You know the drill, okay? And just like that, SPY stopped dead in its tracks as soon as Qs hit a resistance that it didn't want to get past. And down we came. Okay? Now, we did have people playing puts at a break of some of these support levels, breaches of some of these lines. And again, when we got down here, I wasn't suggesting any puts, but I was saying, guys, if you happen to be in puts, 520.13, pretty strong level of support. You might want to consider taking profits there. And of course, when we get down close to that line, we put the white circle there because it's something we talk about far in advance. All right? Whether that holds or not, I don't know until it shows us whether it's going to or not. But I do know that if I'm in a trade and I'm coming down to a strong level of support, I'm not going to push it. I'm not going to poke the bear. I'm going to consider taking my profits there. That's why I don't get caught up in these trades that go against me where I turn into a hold and hoper. If you're in puts here and let's just say you got inputs up here for whatever reason, that's fine, right? You get down to this point, you are at the max profit that trade at that moment was going to give you, okay? That's fine if you don't want to get out of the trade, but if you move your stop down, make it. If we get back above 520.30, I'll close out of the trade. Fine. But if you give up too much of profit that you once had and you wait for a pullback all the way up here, well, guess what happens next? You start to remember how tasty the profits down here would have been if you would have taken them, because it doesn't look so tasty now. And you're going to hold that trade until you get back down to those profit levels again. Unfortunately, if it takes a long time to do, you won't be back in those profit levels unless maybe this happens. And I'll bet you that even if you held those puts from here at 1048 to the low leading into the close, you still weren't back at those profit levels. Maybe even break even at that point. Okay? So, guys, at the end of the day, there was nothing to trade after this. Right here. It was at, what time was it? Hold on. I'll tell you exactly what time it was. It was at, right here. At this time, at 11:25, 11:26, I was telling everybody in our community, guys, trade your money how you want. You're going to do that. In fact, I made a PSA in our Discord community tagging everybody in the community. I said, listen, Just want to make a PSA. There's no volatility. We're in a tight range. SPY's not moving. Qs aren't moving. ADD is no longer moving. This is where people start to lose money because they start to force trades out of boredom, right? When you get into these trades, these look like moves that would normally pay, but when there's no volatility in the market, guys, you are not making money in this. And I want to show you how sideways this was and for how long. This was crap to trade. This right here, garbage. Garbage. You need to respect that. You need to understand that. Don't believe me. Just open up your contracts and see how little they're moving. Okay? You don't have to do anything that I'm suggesting or talking about. I'm just trying to help you learn what to look for, where the pitfalls are, what makes this business so difficult. My job is to try and protect people until they understand how to protect themselves. I'm not here to try and teach you how to be a risky trader. The risky trades that we take are in the morning, but they're always backed up with justification for doing so. It's never because, oh, I feel like it's just going to drop from here. No, we waited. We waited for the right reason to take the risk on this trade. And it paid, as it often does if you wait for the right time. Could you have caught calls up here and rode it to this line? Absolutely would have been a great trade. However, if you just waited for a little bit of more time, wait for the reasoning to be a little bit better, a little bit stronger, you could have got in and made equal or more money in a more comfortable time on the chart. Wait for proper setups. Don't get into the trade and then hope that the proper setup shows itself after the fact. It's a dangerous, dangerous way to trade, guys. All right? We are day trading here. 0 DTEs. We don't have the luxury of time. You don't have the luxury to hold a position this whole day. You will have lost everything to theta today. Okay? Now, if you waited for a break of some of these strong levels, like 520.13, you know, that same level we talked about all the way over here being so strong, if you wait for a candle close below that late in the day and you want to take the risk of doing that, by all means, do it. That's great. You got in at 352. You got to get out at a very solid support level that we made the first morning and in pre-market. By all means, take the trade. Contracts are nice and cheap. They probably popped at a good rate there. And if you played line to line, known level of support being broken to a known level of support that hasn't been, go for it. You do you. But at least wait for the reasoning to take it, because bouncing between very tight zones with no movement in contracts is not the right reason. Anybody who was holding into puts through here or calls through here was just hoping that a big move up or a big move down was going to take place. And I get that. But man, don't put your money at risk. You don't have to aim to catch every move. You don't have to get into the moves before they're moves worth taking. If you try and catch every bit of every move, you're going to blow your account up left and right. Left and right. I rarely catch an entire move, okay? Trending days for me, I'm still line to line. I'm not get in at the bottom, get out at the top, right? That's not the way I trade. But when I get into a trade, that's because the probabilities are so much in my favor that it's silly. It feels silly for me not to attempt to take it. I just wait for that moment, right? Yes, we found support down here, and yes, we trended up, and yes, there was a lot more to that trade than if you got in here. I get that. But I would have felt much better taking calls here because certain criteria will have been met. That makes me feel more comfortable doing that. I didn't feel comfortable buying calls here. If you did, awesome. I hope you made money. Okay, but you're listening to me. You're watching my videos and you're paying to be in my Discord community because you're hoping to learn what has allowed me to have the win percentage that I have. So I try to explain it every day, not just in our Discord community, but in these videos. my way of trading is not a glorious one. It's not a glamorous one. I don't make 150% returns. Okay? My win rate is only what it is because I also know when to stop. That was a one and done trade for me. I didn't even attempt to put another trade on because I wasn't willing or even interested to give up any of the profits that I had made on the trade that I felt comfortable taking. Okay? The least emotion, how would you say this? The least emotion you're going to have in any trade on a given day is the first trade of the day. First trade of the day. You have done no damage to yourself. You have created no excitement for yourself by that. Okay? You get into that trade. I don't care if it's red or green. Your next trade is going to be more emotional than the first one. If you were green on your first trade, you're excited, you want more. So you're happy emotion, right? That's gonna invoke you to do one of two things. Number one, you're gonna be super aggressive on your next trade because you want to aggressively make more money. Or number two, you're gonna take risk, unnecessary risk in your second trade because now you can afford to be wrong. You made green on your first trade. Look at this. I got a little cushion. I got a little pillow. I can take a risk, and if it doesn't work out, I give up some of my profit. That's fine. Let's say you're that guy. You've given up some of your profit. So you went from here to here, but still green on the day. Well, I'm pretty sure you liked it here better. What do you think's going to happen on that third trade that you decide to take? Do you think you're going to say, I tried to push my luck after the first one, and it didn't work, and now I'm here? Or are you going to say, I pushed my luck, ended up lower. Now, I understand that if I do another one, I might end up at 0, even for the day, or maybe even red. There's that guy. Or there's the guy that says, I really liked it up there. I'm going to take another one because I want to be up there. So now your third trade has got double the emotion. For that reason, you went from good to okay. You want to be good again. And when you want to be good again, you're going to forget about the other line of that trade, which is you could go from okay to bad. But no, you don't see that because you want to be back to good. Right? Guys, I'll say it till I'm blue in the face because nobody's been able to prove me wrong that I'm aware of. Nope. And of the hundreds of people that I ask every day, not one of them in the 3 years I've been helping people do this has ever admitted to me or said to me or proven to me. They don't even prove it. They just say it. Nobody's even said it to me. The more trades I take, the higher my win rate is. Nobody has ever said that to me. When I ask the question, nobody's ever said yes to that question. Some days you might get that. Some days you might be fortunate where you just can't lose. Fine. But if you average that out over time, more trades does not equal more wins. Right? There is a lot of reasoning behind that. And I believe it's based mostly on emotion. I'm the guy who talks about emotion all day long in our trading Discord. Okay? I'm not here. Right? My strategy I share with people all day long. But part of my strategy is knowing when to stop, when to skip a trade, when to take profits, when to take losses. Okay? This is not just a simple, I'm getting in here, I'm getting out there, because something tells me, yes, we should do this or do that, right? I also believe that if you've managed to get in where you're supposed to and get out where you're supposed to, and you end up green, that you respected the market paid you for that respect. And I think it's disrespectful to the market to go back in because I'm not happy with what I was paid the first time. Now, again, that's just me. That's how I learned to stop trading. Okay, I don't push my luck. I'm not poking the bear. The market is the bear. Okay? The bear doesn't know we exist until it knows we exist, right? You keep poking that bear, but eventually it's going to turn around and it's going to bite you. Okay? I don't want to be bit. I don't want to be bit. So I spend a lot of my day trying to help people stay green. Stay green, because that second trade, that third trade, there's more to it than just it's the proper setup. You will start to invent proper setups because of your emotions. You need to understand this about yourself. You need to know that if you're desperate for money, you're more likely to force a trade. How many of you have gotten near your perfect setup and taken the trade anyway? I know I have. We call those aggressive entries, or whatever you want to call them, right? But that's emotionally driven. You got in because you can't stand the thought of waiting for the chart to tell you it's okay to go now, because you might miss that extra 20 cents. But what happens there is that if you didn't wait for the confirmation and you got in for mostly the right reasons, if that resistance up there that you're pressing up against ends up holding, down you go. There goes your trade. So then I'd ask you, was it worth being aggressive? Right? You're just adding extra risk, which is fine. If you can't make money unless you take risk in trading. But there's risk, which is any trade, and then there's unnecessary risk, and there's just haphazard amounts of risk, right? I have people in our community every day that get into trades at the most obscure time for no reason whatsoever. Why did you get into puts while we're sitting on a known level of support? Oh, because I missed the opening trade. So? Because you missed the opening trade, the market owes it to you now to break that support and pay you? No, this is where you guys really need to understand that we are powerless to this market. It does not care about us or what we want or when we have availability to trade. It doesn't care. It's going to do what it does, and we need to take advantage of what it's willing to do for us. But if you get into this market ever assuming that you're going to affect it or it's going to give you what you want because you want it, you're in for a rude awakening. All right. So today, the needless to say, our red-green poll drastically dropped from these 2 to 1. Actually, better than 2 to 1 here. It's less than 2 to 1 now because we can't stand not taking any more trades in a chart that's telling you. I mean, I don't know how else to scream to you, don't take any trades, or the chart can scream it to you. I mean, just all the things, guys. And I posted it before lunchtime. So guys, I have to sleep at night, so I have to make this a public announcement to 4,000 people in our community. Tag everybody. Guys, this is a chart not worth trading. Here's why, and why. 3 or 4 reasons. You do you, but now I can sleep at night knowing that I tried to help the majority of you save your money. That's all I can do. So with that, we're going to wrap it up. Hope you all had a fantastic day today. If you did, congratulations. If you didn't, I'm sorry. If you'd like to join, well, first of all, if you got any useful information out of this video, please like, share, and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. If you'd like to join our Discord community, well, there's a link down below. We'd love to have you. Okay, we spend your first 7 days are completely free. You don't sign up for anything. You just show up in the Discord. It automatically assigns you your temporary patron role. If you've been there before, it'll know it, and it won't give you the temporary patron role. But for first-time people who join, that's how it happens. You've put in no payment information, no nothing. It costs you nothing. It's free for 7 days. If you like what you get for those 7 days, consider becoming a paying member. All right? We'd love to have you. If you like what you get, we also have the annual discount on the annual membership at the end of this particular month. It's going to be starting on the 29th, 4 days from now, and it ends on the 31st. That basically makes it 50% off of the monthly payment if you pay a year in advance. So it becomes $600 instead of $1,200. And, a lot of people take advantage of that. And that's pretty much it. So till tomorrow, I love you guys. See ya.